pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight downside, speed off. Bring in, let's speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, everybody, or whatever time it is for you around the world. I'm Jack Beyer, videographer, host, commentator, whatever you want to call me, for NASASpaceflight, and we are joined today for this stream, and everyone is saying 5x5 in chat. Thank you, everybody. We are joined today by none other than Chris Gebhardt, Assistant Managing Editor for NASASpaceflight, who is out there in the field today operating this very camera that you are seeing the fruits of. Do you see fruits of cameras right now? What's up, Chris?
Hey, Jack, and good morning, as you said, or whatever time of day it is around the world, and welcome to Cape Canaveral, where, well, there's a SpaceX Falcon 9 on the pad. We'll see if the weather cooperates.
I always think of the Truman Show, like, in case I don't see it, good evening, good morning, and good night, or like whatever that line is. I just always think of that whenever we start up these streams and we say hello to everybody, because who knows what time it is for our viewers around the world. Also out in the field, there is Julia Bergeron. What's up, Julia?
Well, good morning, Jack. It was an early morning, but we're here. We're being rained on, but there's a Falcon in front of me, and it looks well used.
It does. Look at that fairing even. The fairing looks like my shoes. I'll put it that way. I need a new pair of shoes is what I'm saying.
This
but
is all...
we're getting like every other word.
There, yeah, that was a little weird. We were commiserating with you that I think we could all use a new pair of shoes, Jack.
Yeah, it's a good looking rocket in that it has been used a whole bunch, including those fairings. So today we are looking at Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral, and this Falcon 9 is launching Starlink satellites. I believe it is launching 53 Starlink satellites. And the booster is B58 158.9 or -9. So this is the booster's 9th flight, and of course that means I get to make all the obligatory 9 times references. Hey, Chris, did you know this rocket has flown 9 times? You're supposed to go 9 times. Okay. Anyways, as always with our streams, we have an interactive component to them. So if you have any questions, please just at NASASpaceflight in chat with your question. It will pop up in our queue in some lovely software that Michael has written, and we'll be able to read it. Let's see what we got here. John Cobb says, shout out Jack for being Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, it is 4 a.m. here. Michael and I are both rocking an early morning, but hey, all's fair in love and rockets. Let's see. Here's one. Chris, are you ready for some questions? I cannot hear you if you were talking. I know you're unmuted. And Julia's coming through a robotic. All right, well, we'll sort that out. Just a moment here.
Okay, Jack, let's try this again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, just like a Verizon commercial.
Okay, good. Well, the old IT crowd joke of turn it on and turn it back, or turn it off and turn it back on again worked. Not sure what happened there, but both Julie and I lost connection and could hear you, but you couldn't hear us. Yeah, I was actually asking. What was the question, Jack? Sorry, I think I missed that. I think I was asking you a question when you were asking me a question, actually.
Oh, no worries. I was just asking. I was getting you ready for some viewer questions in case you were.
Oh, yes,
you were
indeed.
f-
Yes, indeed.
All right,
I was
cool.
gonna ask, do we want to talk briefly about the weather?
Yeah, that's. You know what? That's a really good idea. Go for it. How is the
Okay,
weather?
the weather. The weather is always the weather. There is a frontal system approaching Florida. There are rain showers in the area. In fact, it was pouring down rain when we got here. The rain has actually stopped. There is clearing to the west and the southwest, which is the direction that the storms are moving from. According to the radar, this might stay just barely south of the ITL and Pad 40, and maybe, if we're lucky, just outside of the exclusion zone that's needed for the flight through precipitation rules today. So we will see. But weather is definitely iffy here. If I were a betting man, I'd say a strong 50-50 today, based on where the storm complexes currently are and where they're tracking. But we will see, because, hey, it doesn't necessarily matter what the weather is right now. It just matters what the weather is at 7:40 when they try to get off the ground. So lots of rain in the area. They're going to give it their best shot, and we will see.
All right. Well, hopefully we find a hole in the weather and it's able to do its thing and loft this batch of, once again, 53 satellites, not 60, 53. And
53.
And we have a question. Let's go with our first question from Light for Japan Productions, asking,
Yeah.
why are there only 53 instead of 60 on this launch? Because 60 is the number which they can do volume-wise or weight-wise, I believe, right? And
Yep.
anything less than 60, sometimes they do less than 60 for reasons. What do you got for us?
So a couple things spring to mind on this one. One is that it is possible that just 53 were ready, so that's why 53 are in the payload fairing. I highly doubt that, though. So we saw them doing 60 and 60 and 60 at a time, usually during the first generation of Starlink launches. 53 on this one, given that this is batch 4-1. Yes, Starlink numbering conventions. It gets weirder. This is 4-1, but it's the third batch that's starting to launch. These satellites are also debuting some upgrades. They have the interlink, the laser interlink terminals on them to help provide better coverage around the world, so that the satellites can sort of share the load a bit better based on where they are and what the user demands are on the ground underneath them. They might weigh a little bit more in terms of mass, so they might have had to reduce down in order to keep the mass constraints within limits to be able to recover the Falcon 9. Because the Starlinks themselves in the first generation of launches, the total weight of them was very impressive for 60 of them, and they were in large parts the heaviest payloads that the Falcon 9s had launched, and they were really pushing the recovery limits of the boosters, even recovering them downrange in the Atlantic and the Pacific for the Starlinks that have launched from there. So 53 on this one, mainly just because of mass and how they're wanting to spread them out across the different planes, which can also affect how many you have on board.
Got it. Well, thank you. That is a pretty comprehensive answer. 53 satellites on this one. Let's see what we got here. Looking for some more questions. Yes, there are 4 towers around Falcon. They are lightning towers. I gotta always answer that one. I know people are joking, but I always wonder if someone is legitimately asking, and I have to temper my response in
Scrub, 24-hour turnaround.
Yep. All right, so we're scrubbed for the day. That was fun.
That was fun. Yeah, not surprising given the weather. Fun.
All right. So we try again tomorrow. Say what, Julia?
Well, hey there, hi. I finally don't sound like a robot and we scrub.
That's the way it goes. You sound really good, though, as a bonus.
Why, thank you. So we'll just say good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a little bit today, right?
Yeah, and they don't actually have to go anywhere. They can hop over to Starbase Live and enjoy all of our cams around Boca, because guess what? There's a static fire from Boca Chica today. So or at least there has been a static fire notice that has gone out, and the window is 6 a.m. Central to, what was it, noon Central, something like that. So it's an early one, not just Starlink this early morning. So let's keep our eyes on that. And if stuff starts happening in Boca, we will be covering that with its own stream. So, but you can go hang out in Starbase Live for now, and until something starts happening down there, you will have to just wait to hear the dulcet tones of our voices. But I think with that scrub and 24-hour turnaround for Starlink 4.1, we will see you nerds later, potentially very soon later, but later.
Liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Traveling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Echo Delta nominal.
Flight outside speed off. Say again, SC off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.